Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to few of us. Awesome. So we're gonna get the episode start. This is our first episode, a cup of CX, powered by ClueTrack, brewing insights with CX leaders across the globe. My name is Manuel, and I work as a Chief Growth Officer at ClueTrack. I will be your host today to walk you through some of the interesting experience, insights, and recommendations from our first guest. Our first guest today for this episode is Ledi Lapaj, who is the Director of Customer Experience at Bank-al-Etihad. Welcome to the show, Ledi.
Hello, Manuel. Thank you for inviting. It's great to be here with you today and with your audience around the world. Super excited for this podcast.
Amazing. Thanks for having you. I mean, it's great to have you here, and it'll be great if you can give a quick and a short introduction about yourself for us and the audience.
Well, my name is Ledi Lapaj, as you just said. I lead the customer experience effort at Bank-al-Etihad, Jordan. Bank-al-Etihad is a very customer-centric bank in Jordan. We have grown in the past few years from a challenger bank to one of the biggest banks in the country and expanding regionally. My role here is to help the bank into transforming in terms of customer centricity and improving customer experiences. That will be briefly something about me.
Awesome. Amazing. Now, if you can go maybe a couple of years back and tell us a bit more about what it actually interested you in the first place to become a CX leader.
Well, I have been working on customer-related roles for all my working experience, about 20 years now. I've covered all the aspects of it, which includes researching, acquisition, retention, churn management, engagement, you name it. Anything that has to do with the customer, I've been involved in, customer support included. And with time, somehow I've built this very broad understanding of the customers and their needs, and then have moved into the customer experience. It kind of felt like the next step, and it made a lot of sense. And even paradigm-wise, it's a shift from, particularly when you are into acquisition and customer value management, is like you go from how can I get more customers and how can I increase revenues, and then you transform into how can I make our customers more happy, how can I bring more value to them and to more customers.
Awesome. Amazing. Now, if you look back in your entire journey of these 20 years, what do you think is the biggest challenge that you have faced as a CX professional?
As a CX professional, I must say that there have been plenty. I think like in every role where you interact with people in different departments and you're trying to do something, there is always a lot of challenges that one would face. The more recent one I could elaborate on, for example, would be the complexities of, for example, omnichannel. So, whenever you have a company, you have multiple touch points, you have multiple interactions with the customers. It's so difficult to get the omnichannel right. And for me, that's one of the things that to work on. And so that would be one of difficulties and challenges.
Awesome. Cool. Now, one of the interesting things that we also noted in the last couple of years, right? And CX as a ecosystem is growing, and it's growing very fast. People do realize that there is obviously acquisition that can happen, but to a certain level. But if you have to continue to engage with your customers and have them the best experience, and then in turn convert them into retention and loyalty, customer experience becomes very, very important piece of the overall puzzle. Now, if you spoke about the latest challenge that you had, but if you look at from an overall CX perspective, how do you go about tackling these challenges, right? I mean, as a bank, you have a lot of customers, you have a lot of challenges from maybe different streams of customers, right? How do you go about tackling those challenges?
Customer experience eventually it's about delivering the great customer experiences for the customers, and the department per se is not the one who does this, delivers these experiences. Actually, it's the whole company doing that together, being the front line, being the back office, being the designing team, etc. So for us as customer experience department, our number one effort is aligning internally. How do we align efforts internally within the company so that they can result in a great customer experience? And that includes alignment in terms of how do we have the same understanding about what a great customer experience is, or what is needed in order to deliver a great customer experience in terms of processes or tools. And so that's one level. And then it's about raising awareness. It's about having the right skills and capabilities for all of these stakeholders to deliver on that. And what's next also is very, very important is having formal mechanisms in place that will allow for all of these teams and people to be aligned towards what's best for the customer. And that usually includes, for example, having proper metrics and KPIs, which these teams and people are responsible for. And there are so many ways to go about it. There is a directive way where you go and just tell people what to do, and there is a humble consultant way where you tell them this is the best way to do it, but then you allow them to go about it. The way we have been going in here is a combination of, so for example, we do more of a situational collaboration, if you like, where we look at what the needs in different departments are. And sometimes, for example, some teams are very, very, very capable, so you're more like a humble consultant, for example. And in some other teams, there is more needed a directive approach, so where we go and set clear frameworks, for example, and practices.
I think
Communication with people, if I may add, communication with people, connection with people, the way you work with people, it's really, really crucial to make sure that all of these initiatives succeed.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ledi. I think you made a very important and a pertinent point. Getting a buy-in from the entire management, the entire company. I think CX is no longer just a CX department's KPI, but it is, the entire company's KPI. Now, every company likes to say that they care about CX. However, it is very different story when you have to, implement new tools, invest in technologies, train people, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And suddenly we see that CX is, becomes not so important, but rather it's not a must-have, but it becomes nice to have. And this is one of the top challenges that we have heard from many CX leaders. So how do you kind of drive through this to ensure that there is a complete buy-in from the top management, there is 100% alignment between the teams, and then look at solving for the CX challenge?
Yeah, that's absolutely a valid point. If I might say, based on my experience across companies and sectors, is that the extent to which customer-centric efforts are successful in a company are highly, completely correlated with the extent at which the leadership is customer-centric. So if you have, for example, senior leadership that are a group of senior leaders that are customer-centric, or a CEO that is customer-centric, or a chairman that is customer-centric, or a board, then this kind of cascades down. Customer centricity is a top-down approach. It does not work the other way around. So we are extremely lucky here at Bank-al-Etihad that we have an obsessive customer-centric leadership, including the board, including chairman, including CEO, including senior executives. So for us, that is not a challenge per se. On the contrary, it's actually an enabler, and it empowers us. What sometimes could be a challenge, though, is drawing this line between between customer experience and things that need to be done in order to deliver this customer experience. So sometimes these are not clear. For example, a technology that you want to invest in, it does not necessarily translate clearly for this leadership that this is going to have a huge impact or not in the customer experience. So I think that's, once you have the buy-in, being able to translate all of these needs into how they're going to impact the experience, I think that's a bit of a challenge and a place where we have to put effort, because there are a lot of things that, for example, we know that they're important for the customer experience, like certain tools, for example, certain practices, etc. But they're not clear on it's not clear to everyone how that will impact. So in this case, we really do have to make a good business case and advocate for it.
Wonderful. I think Bank-al-Etihad is an exception where the board and the key leadership team and the senior leadership team have kind of aligned and worked towards the customer experience goals. But from a generic perspective, maybe a couple of jobs before, how easy or
Yep.
difficult was it to get a buy-in from the boardroom for CX initiatives, right? Because we are ever evolving, right? There are a lot of new tools coming up. There are a lot of new
Yes.
platforms and channels coming out there. So how do you see this happening, and what has been your experience to get the buy-in from senior leadership and the board to do anything
I,
in terms of
I hear
CX?
you. Yeah, it's not always this easy to get buy-in. In other cases, it's all about understanding. So that, or at least that's our approach, my approach. The idea is that any business leader, in the end, they want the business to succeed. But business success is different to each leader. For someone, is short-term profit. For someone, is longer term investment and profit. For some, is a combination of that with great customer experience. For some, is the ability to grow very fast. So everyone has a different understanding of what business success means to them. So the first step that I would take would be try and, first of all, understand what success means to them. And then once I have clearly understood that, then it's about tying how customer experience fits and can help with that. For example, if someone wants to grow very quickly, their objective is to grow the business. So they want to be able to double or triple in terms of base, or to open new verticals. So our focus will be like, you know what, there are ways that we can help to do that faster and more efficiently. And then we would try to use, for example, some sort of ROI or some sort of business cases where we say that if we're able to do that in a customer-centric way, it's going to cost you ABC, then you'll be able to save this much time and to increase the quality of your sales, for example, and lower the churn, so increase the retention rate by that percentage. So at that point, it's about consistently trying to change or to edit kind of the understanding of the leadership, so that customer experience is part of what they see as a success. So that's the way I've been going around it in my previous experiences. And sometimes it works. Sometimes you have to do a proof of concept, as if, sometimes, it's not enough. You have to take a case and you're going to tell them, look, in this particular segment, for example, that we did 1, 2, 3, 4 customer experience practices, or that we use these tools, we were able to improve churn, for example, we were able to improve acquisition, or we were able to increase the cross-sell and upsell. And when you are able to translate this in money, in a profit, then I think any business leader would be interested to invest in customer experience.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Ledi. Just making it a little more interesting. If you want to share, one such incident or a success story that is very close to your heart, and an exercise or an project that you picked up within the CX challenge, and how did you go about solving, and what do you saw it as success?
I wouldn't know where to start. We have so many projects. One thing that is very close to my heart has been a project that at first it might not look like very close to customer experience. It's been a culture project. So being able to see the impact of a culture project the impact it has on increasing customer centricity, the impact it has on actually increasing all the customer experience metrics has been such a pleasure to experience. The project has been about um, somehow investing in the culture, in a culture which is, among other things, is employee-centric and customer-centric. And the way we went about it is that which was one of my biggest learning as well, is that unity makes success. So, for example, we didn't go to it solely as a unit and try to own it and just run with it. We're able actually to collaborate with so many parties inside the company, and that collaboration allowed us actually to be successful. So that'll be one of my favorite projects I've worked on, and I've had so many learnings, which then I have been able to apply in other CX projects. Probably the main learning is that the more you involve different teams, the more there is buy-in and understanding of the change that you're trying to implement or to push forward. And as a result, the effort needed from you is less because the effort is shared. And the friction is less in the same time because people are embracing and running with it, if that makes sense.
Thanks, Ledi. How do you imagine customer experience to look like in 5 years from now? How do you expect technologies and platforms to change the customer experience altogether?
I think it's going to be very, very different from today, in the same path probably. So that it's not going to be like taking a different path, the same path, but it's going to be very different. So today we're more into the business of satisfying customers. I believe the future, and based this on the on experts on the field, the future is transformative customer experience. So companies that deliver experiences not just to satisfy needs, but to transform customers in what they're doing. So that would be one way to look at it. And then considering all the technology that is evolving so rapidly and it's coming from so many directions, you would expect that it will heavily impact customer experience, particularly in terms of hyper-personalization. So you're going to have, ideally, every customer is treated or is treated as if as an individual. So they're not part of a segment or a group or something. Each and one of them is unique and gets a unique treatment and a unique offering and a unique servicing. And further to that, probably there will be hyper. What's the word for it? The automated communication. So you would assume that a lot of things, which is already in its way now, a lot of the interactions that the customers are having, particularly when it comes to the customer support, will probably be automated. And you're going to have all these tools and chatbots that will be much more advanced than they are now. And they'll be able not only to have the inquisitive, so the inquiring type of interaction, but also be able to handle transactional and complaints type of transactions. So those are things that I definitely see happening in the near future, and further continuing for sure omnichannel. The omnichannel is definitely there, and probably there will be more transparency when it comes to data usage because to customer data usage. So today the customers, they generate so much data and they do not really know what happens with it. So probably in the future, there'll be more transparency from the companies with the customers when it comes to that.
Absolutely. I think you touched upon a very important and interesting point again. There are multiple CX leaders, aspiring CX leaders, in the podcast now. If you want to give some top 2 or 3 tips that you would want the CX leaders, based on your experience, what those suggestions or advice would be, Ledi?
As a CX professional, what I would recommend to any peer of mine would be, first and foremost, to be always up to date. So as to what are the newest frameworks, the newest technologies, the newest practices, and sometimes interacting with peers, interacting with different companies, interacting with vendors are very, very important. To be honest, one of the main sources of learning for me in my experience as a customer experience professional has been vendors. I've learned so much from every vendor that I sit with. So continuous learning, that's definitely one. To make sure that the practices that you have are always up to date and innovative. Second of all, keeping in mind that it's always about people. So as a customer experience professional, we're not delivering for the customer. We're first and foremost enabling the internal stakeholders in the company to be customer-centric. So being people-focused is extremely, extremely important and has such a huge impact. If we can infuse people to be customer-centric, we don't have to push and we don't have to work hard. We have to work so much less because everybody will be doing so much more to deliver customer experience. Yeah, this would be my top 2 points. I can come up with more if you want.
Thank you so much. I think there are a bunch of questions before we wrap this up, and the first question is from Jalal Munasser, and his question, Ledi, is in your experience, Ledi, what is the most underrated aspect of CX that organizations often overlook but has the potential to significantly impact customer satisfaction and loyalty?
I think the question it's not in terms of internal CX practice, but probably as an improvement on the customer that will have an impact on the customer, right? I think one of the things that I've seen underrated is the in-person interaction. Yeah. I think everybody knows, and it's so much talked about now today, the automation and how so you need to have a chatbot and you need to have the omnichannel and this and that. But it's what I think it's underrated at the time is the in-person interaction. It makes a huge impact. This is something that we religiously focus here at the company, which is that we make sure that our frontliners are happy, are delighted to serve the customers. And one of the feedback that we get a lot from customers and even from partners that collaborate with us on measuring this experience that we deliver is that there's something different about Bank-al-Etihad. Once you enter their branches, people are smiling at you. And the reason they do that is because they're delighted, because they're taken care as employees. So that thing, and enabling them, we do also enable this frontline to deliver wow moments, delight moments, for example, to deliver a birthday gift, to deliver get well basket of goods, etc. So empowering the front line, enabling the front line, because that's where the human connection is, and everybody that interacted with you in this with this front line, they'll remember it for the longest time. The interaction with digital is different. It can be great, but it's not that emotional. But if you go only once at the branch and you build this affectionate connection that kind of stays with you and somehow colors even the digital experience that you might have with the company. So I think that at the moment I find that underrated as an area to focus, and it has an impact in customer relationship, emotional relationship.
Got it. Thank you. We have the second question from Ismail, and his question is: how can technology and innovation can be used to achieve customer centricity?
There are so many ways to use that. Practically, it's all about technology and innovation. It's a lot about it. Things that we do here is, for example, we make sure that the measurements, for example, we use technology to make sure that the measurements are as accurate and real time and covering as many touch points and interactions as possible. So that's one use of technology that we do. Another use of technology is making sure that we're firing instant tickets to the responsible team so that they can take action on it. Like, for example, I'm sure you're familiar with small loop, big loop. So, for example, a customer, let's say, visits the branch, they're very dissatisfied, they are surveyed instantly. And then if the response is negative, we're using all of these tools so that the branch manager will know within 5 minutes that the customer was unhappy. So immediately the branch manager can go visit the customer or call the customer and say, "I'm so sorry you had a bad experience. How can we make it up to you?" So what this practice does is that it makes sure that the customer does not leave or go far dissatisfied. Another way of using technology is, for example, for feedback, making use of feedback. So one thing that we do is that we have an AI tool that allows us to pull customer feedback from multiple sources. And then this AI tool analyzes it, categorizes it, and allows you to ask questions and to come up with different understanding as to what customers' problems are, what their sentiment is, what the impact is, and how your priorities should be. So those are just two of the things I can think of at the moment.
More interesting questions coming your way, Ledi. But I'm going to pick this up in continuation to what you said. How do you balance AI automation with personal communication? This is asked by Amjad. Basically, how do you balance between the realm of AI that we live today, AI automation and personal communication? You touched upon this. Maybe if you can.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think it's going to be relevant for quite some time. Thank you for the question. I think that's an ongoing journey. I don't think that there is an answer to that, a quick answer to that. It's more like an ongoing journey of trial and error. One of the practices that I'm familiar with, it's called human in the loop. So, which practically means that as you're automating and using AI to handle customer interactions, you want to make sure that you have some human in the loop that is kind of checking here and there that what's happening makes sense. And I think that there is such a great value to personal communication that we should never get rid of. So I know that there is a lot of focus now on automating and replacing humans practically. But as I was saying earlier, that it should not replace humans per se. It should replace some tasks that humans do, repetitive tasks ideally. But that emotional connection or that complex interaction, probably for some time it needs to remain with humans, so that the connection the company has with the customer is more enduring. Because once you move everything digital, it's so easy to move from one company to another. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents on it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ledi. There are a bunch of questions from Hussam. Please reach out to us on LinkedIn. We are available. Ledi is available to answer them. But in the interest of time, we will wrap this up. Thank you very much, Ledi, for joining us. You've been a great guest, and this is our first episode of A Cup of CX, powered by ClueTrack, brewing insights with global CX leaders. And to everyone out there, if you want to nominate yourself, if you are a CX leader, or if you want to nominate someone from your company, or a CX leader who has to be on this, the next episode, please reach out to us. Please, give us a shout out on LinkedIn. We're happy to, have you as our guest. Once again, thank you, Ledi, for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, and have a great day.